Ignore everything I just said. I'm brand new. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I first want to thank again the faculty at the UArts for nominating me for this award. I very much appreciate it. My name is Dominick Pytel. I'm an ID student at University of the Arts. I believe that good design successfully combines original ideas and technical details. All right. I was born and raised in a small town, Upper East Side of Connecticut, in a family that used their hands a lot. My dad is a contractor, and my mom went to school for interior design. I found myself at a very young age working with my hands. I followed in their footsteps. I started playing with Legos and even just messing around with my toys, and it grew. As I got older, the Legos were replaced with cars, and the passion for design also grew. During high school, I discovered computer-aided design, and I was immediately hooked. I loved the fact that you can get so detailed and so technical right off the bat as you started drawing. I had my heart set on being an engineer, so I enrolled in the mechanical engineering program at Drexel. Throughout the program, though, I felt like I was missing something. I missed working with my hands. So I fell back, and I got my associates in computer drafting. I fell back in what I still loved, but I still felt like I was missing something. I missed working with my hands. It wasn't until I found the ID program at UArts. I love the combination of technical drawing and precision drafting, but also being able to use your hands and create things using different types of materials. I essentially found the missing piece to my design puzzle. During my first year in the program as a transfer sophomore, I was introduced to working with new materials, specifically porcelain slip. Centering in on vessels, I designed an Italian-style pasta bowl that had integrated indents for utensils so that it's easy for passing around the dinner table. I felt confident in my technical skills and hands-on abilities, as working with foam and plaster was a pleasant surprise, although some mistakes happened. However, what I overlooked was the fact that slip shrinks. And as it was being fired, my bowl started to look and feel like an ashtray. So while the finished product wasn't exactly what I had hoped, it did teach me a very valuable lesson, and it still proved useful in getting a better understanding of materials and processes used with design. My second year in the program introduced working with clients and organizations. The goal was to work with the Spring Garden community to help provide green designs built around creating Philadelphia's first eco-district. Our group worked with locals to develop ideas and themes that would help the community become more eco-friendly and conscious. For me, as we explored and interviewed the locals, the most interesting and apparent issue was with the historical architecture in buildings. In the buildings, I found many apparent issues. For example, cracked windows, unsealed doors, and loads of power drains littered everywhere. With my current employment at the local Home Depot where I lived, I figured that this would be a great challenge for me to take and something that I could handle. So I decided to research a type of construction called super insulation, where airtightness and sealing is their main factors. This is achieved through triple paned glass windows, thicker studs and sandwiched walls, and even looking at alternative forms of insulation. With this in mind, I had to try to come up with a design that could teach the community about super insulation, as well as maybe hopefully give them some nice information as to maybe lower their energy bill. I looked at heat loss, different building techniques, DIY tips and tricks, and even going so far as just trying to figure out what's the proper R value for a regular house. So all in all, the thing that I got the most out of it was the only way that I could really demonstrate what I'm trying to teach everybody is to build it for them to see it. So I had to build a full-scale wall model is the best way to show what I'm trying to do. I replicated both a typical construction wall, which included 2x4 studs, pink R13 insulation, and even a working window. And alongside that, made a super insulated wall section. This included two 2x6 frames that were mated together to create a larger cavity, which was then filled with cellulose or shredded up newspaper drowned in flame retardant liquid, to create a wall that would be categorized as an R42, which is significantly better than what is existing now in the current building market. However, it was the start of my final year that I finally found my stride. Asked to choose a target audience and design a form of baggage for them, I looked towards my work surroundings and decided on electricians. My dad is an electrician, his father is an electrician, and I work at an electrical contracting company, so why not? It seemed obvious. I wanted to design a new form of organization and accessibility for the most used tools that electricians use the most often. I don't want to replace the tool belt, I just wanted something to work with it. So I looked at making a vest, and I looked at kind of an armband, but after a lot of interviewing and just talking with coworkers and tradesmen, a leg apparatus was the best bet to go with. It seemed to make the most sense. So I tried using many different materials. I used muslin fabric, vinyl, even some cloth to try and get some different textures going. But overall, I found that leather was the best choice to go with, mainly because of its durability and what's existing in the market. I also tested different forms of hardware, including snaps, rivets, hooks, and clips. I also looked at different forms of threads and sewing techniques, even went going so far as to teach myself how to hand sew. But working at the ID Floor Tech Shop is probably the best thing that helped me with this project, because it was there that I was able to zero in and hone the laser cutter and be able to come up with a proper setting so that when it cut the leather, it didn't burn the outside and it didn't create soot as the end surface would. So essentially what I came up with is what I call a core, which is essentially it's two cut pieces of leather that were hand sewn together with wax fabric for durability and strength, littered with heavy-duty snaps, and finished with grommets and buckles that are added, that allow the user to wear the core on either leg while being secure and unobtrusive. Snap-on attachments are then added to the core, depending on the depending on the severity of the job and the tools needed. As an added bonus, there are slots cut in the core for screwdrivers, pens, pencils, punches, anything small. Here's a quick storyboard of how it kind of goes about. Starting with the core on the top left, you add straps which fit together, which fit over an existing tool belt or a civilian belt. And then you can add different types of tool pouches for two individual tools, be it pliers or alignments. They snap on. There's also a small attachment for nuts and bolts, which holds more than you could ever need. Hero shot. So I liked working with this project so much that I decided to continue it and explore the design further by working with hairstylists, barbers, and even beauticians to try and come up with something that could adapt a similar form of wearable organization that's something to cater to their needs. So overall, I'm extremely pleased with my experience at UArts and can soundly say that I have found my perfect mixture of original ideas and technical details. Thank you.